and welcome to the Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is Monday, July 9th. 9th? Yeah, 9th. And this is episode number 20. How are you? I won't lie, I just totally recorded about, I'm going to say 15 minutes of this episode without realizing that I wasn't recording. It was golden too, let me just discuss. Brilliant! Anywho, back to really recording. I kept thinking the whole time, this looks kind of strange on here. Well, okay, whatever. When your mind tells you that, stop, dummy. It's because it was on camera, not video camera. Okay, so we're trying again. Hello. I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry and Blurk. If you would like to contact me, please feel free to do so. Show notes can be found on www. That would be a W at the end there. .thefatsquirrel.com. And the show can be found on WordPress, Blip, and iTunes. So hopefully you'll find it there. While I'm speaking of iTunes, thank you all so much for leaving reviews. And that is also a passive-aggressive way of reminding you, if you have not left a review, that you should do so. Did you like that? I totally did that on purpose. I mean, I was genuinely thankful for you that do leave reviews. Good job. But I was also just, reminding you, if you haven't left a review and you do enjoy the show via iTunes, and even if you don't, quite frankly, please. But if you do, it'd be really nice if you could leave a review. You don't even have to say something clever. You could just click on the star. That's an easy way to do it. If you don't think you have anything to say, just click on the star. If you secretly hate me and you just watch me to make fun of me, that's fine too. Leave good reviews for other people. It's actually really not fine. That's not nice. But I won't spite you. It's fine. So anyway, how are you? Returning viewers, how are you? New viewers, hello. And to all of you, thank you for making time in your busy schedules to watch the show. Good job, kids. I know there's lots of podcasters out there. They're all putting out very good product. So I do really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to enjoy my show. Ding. Ding. I'll begin the show by stating the obvious. Obvious thing number one. I look slightly pink, right? You're like, is that sweater terribly unflattering to her coloring? No, it's not. Pow! Check it out! That's some for kids. Now, some of you were like, I can't believe she just revealed her shoulder or just show her sunburn. Whatever. I was that kid that when I fell down, whatever, I'm still the adult. When I fall down, I want a bruise to prove it. And I'm going to show y'all. I had to endure some trauma. There should be physical evidence, and I will be happy to show it to all of you. Not you, because that would be awkward, like, look at my thigh. But people in my real life. Aren't you glad you're not one of them? So I'm like, I'm kind of uncomfortable. I want to show everybody that I endured the sun's mighty UV glare, and I survived. Now, if you're not a redhead, you might be like, holy crud, that girl might die. It's okay. This happens pretty regularly. I've had much worse. Also very exciting, I'm not a woman who lays out, because hello, clearly. And so I just read by the pool. Look at this sexiness right there. Look at that. Yeah. My head doubles as a giant sun umbrella to protect my neck. Thanks, giant head. Maybe you could be a little bit gianter and protect my very sensitive boobies, which are very sweet. Now, I won't show you. But I do want to, only because I'm like, and I'm enduring the double-edged sword of shoulders that are too sore to wear a bra and not like, and then also gravity. I appreciate you. Keep things from flying around. But you're not helping out boobs. So, I can't wear a bra to keep them up, but then the gravity is, pulling them down, and the skin is, stretching. Oh, curse your world. So anyway, Maybe I need to check my sunblock. It may have expired. It's only at the pool for like 3 hours, people. What? Anyway. So that was stating the obvious number 1. Now we'll move on to stating the obvious number 2. I got my hair cut. Yeah. Oh my god, my nose is frighteningly red. Ooh. I've not picked up alcoholism since last week, people. This show would probably be much better if I had. Let's just face it. Me with a little alcohol, much better person. But I haven't. That just is very red. Sorry, I just noticed how red it was. It's kind of disturbing looking, isn't it? Whatever, it makes my eyes look bluer. Anyway, I got my hair cut. It doesn't look as fabulous as it might. Because again, I was at the pool, and I'm not one of those people who comes back from the pool and does their hair for their podcast. Oh, low maintenance. So it's a little short, which is fine. I don't get real bent about my hair, but I did go to the hair. It's not her fault. It's not the hair lady's fault. It's my fault because I don't understand how words work. Huh? Yeah, I said, yeah. The last time I got a haircut was in January, by the way. Again, low maintenance. I always tip my hairdresser like 30 to 40% because I know I won't be back for another 6 months. I am the worst client ever. But whatever. At least I come back. And I totally go back to this new hair lady. I used to get my hair cut at the fancier place because I had a job. Okay. Outside the home. My work is valid here. It doesn't have a paycheck though. So anyway, I used to get my hair cut at the semi-fancy Spanish salon. So I went to this new salon, and it's not fancy. It's called the Clip Joint or something like that. It's kind of old school, yo. Okay. But I love it. You know why? I'll tell you why. Last time I went in January, I am a natural redhead, but this is not my natural red. I am about 7 shades lighter than this. I'm more like a strawberry blonde. And this is the first time, like this last winter, I colored my hair for the first time ever. Period. So, but I color it at home with henna because, as I said, I'm low maintenance, which also means in my brain kind of cheap. So, so anyway, I went to get my hair cut and it needed it because it was so shaggy. It was, I don't think I had it cut for like a year and a half. It was terrible. It was a hot mess. Like I could have let my kid cut it with her safety scissors and it would have been an improvement. So, but I was afraid to go to the hair place because I was afraid. I had roots at the time. I hadn't taken the time to re-dye my hair. And I was like, oh, they're going to yell at me. And they're going to be like, oh, you need to get your roots done. And they need to be the same shade as your hair. We're going to judge you. And I'm like, no. My hair lady was like, I love your hair. What's up? And I was all like, what? I was like, I know the roots are really bad. She's like, whatever. Looks fabulous. She's like, we have a lady who does henna tattooing here. I'm going to get her to do my hair. I was like, oh, dang. It was like the best surprise ever. Also, reason number 1, they don't make fun of me when I have roots and don't try to sell me hair care products and dye jobs. That's all one for me somehow. It's called the cheap factor. The non-guilty cheap factor. Reason number 2, I will always return to their establishment. Can we just discuss, ladies, what is the trend in hair salons to have a floor-to-ceiling mirror in front of the chair? Whose god-awful idea was that? If you've not had this experience, don't change your hairstylist. If you have, you will sympathize. You sit down in that chair, which is all weird. There's no way to be like loungy, nice style. You're just all crumpled, like condensed fat. Or not fat, whatever you are. But, whatever. It's not the most attractive seating position for any human. And then they put that giant cape thing on you. So now you're this big. And then they sit you in front, and your hair's all wet, and so it's slicked back, so every little flippin' bit of business is showing. They have lights like this. And then they put you in front of a full-length mirror. What? Bad trend. I say to the trendsetter on that one. So anyway, this place has normal mirrors. So those are the 2 reasons I will continue to return to their establishment. Also, their stylists don't have a uniform. And they're all above the age of 30. I have now reached an age where I don't want to be the oldest and the fattest person in the salon. I'll take one, but I don't want both. All I'm saying. That's my vanity right there for the minute. Okay, so that's enough. Oh my gosh, I'm so self-centered. It's like the all super duper about me. But anyway, I felt like those 2 things were very obvious, and if I didn't say something, then somebody else was going to say something, and then, anyway, whatever, there they are. Sunburn, haircut, moving on. We have lots to talk about today. Oh my gosh, shh. The first thing I want to talk about, and I will only talk about it briefly. If you know how to read, and you enjoy this podcast, you simply must get this book. Let's pretend this never happened. A mostly true memoir by Jenny Lawson, also known as the Bloggess. Our lovely viewer Holly sent this to me. I love her face for introducing me to the most awesome sauce ever. Don't be fooled. Now see, I would have seen this cover in the bookstore. I'll judge a book by its cover any day of the week, okay? I would have seen this and been like, that doesn't even remotely interest me. Oh, my lord. I have to contact this woman and ask her if I could read an excerpt. Hilarious. I was reading her next to the pool today, and I was embarrassed but I didn't stop. Because I'm in my bathing suit, and my bathing suit is a little bit like, hey, here's my boobies. Because I got them. What are you going to do with them? So they're all like up here, being very boobtastic, and I'm laughing so hard at certain points that all my business is just jiggling next to the pool. And I feel so self-conscious because not only am I laughing out loud when there's nobody next to me, but then I don't know how to laugh like, that's so funny. I have to do the like whole body, small sort of seizurette laughter. I can't help it. It's full body activity for me, the laughter. So anyway, my boob just jiggling. All my business is jiggling. I mean, everything else is jiggling too. But that was just the most obvious because at that point they were still very white. They were very jiggly. Anyway, she's also a blogger, the Bloggess. I have not checked out her blog yet because, quite frankly, I'm so enjoying this I can't deviate from it. Shut your faces. Now, granted, caveat, I'm on page 58. It's a terrible time to give a book review. I don't even care. Love it. Genius. She's brilliant. I mean, I'm gonna go and say that because like she has a very similar, like, I love the parenthetical rant. By the way, that's her phrasing, and that's genius number 1. I'm using it now forever. She does the parenthetical rant, but somehow can do it in written form. What? Oh, I should also say, if you are offended by language, don't read this. Or read an excerpt on Amazon. It's language-tastic. I love it. Hi. It's so fun. It's like the pleasure of reading a dirty book, but without the guiltiness of the sexuality parts. It's awesome. Love it. So she's brilliant. You should check it out. Again, you can always read an excerpt on Amazon before you buy. It's totally available to you. Check it out. Let me just discuss the excerpt. I'm sure is like the first X number of pages. The very first X number of pages killed me. I laughed so hard I almost peed. Genius. So thank you ever so much, Holly. Oh, while I'm saying thank yous, let me also say thank you to the beautiful and fabulous. Did you just hear that? You know what? We're very patriotic here in the ghetto. We like to celebrate the 4th for a minimum of 2 weeks before and after the actual day. Fire ban? Bah! Anyway, okay. If it's not somebody screaming at their neighbor, somebody let off a firework. That's what our neighborhood association should say. But so I also want to say thank you to Robin. Thank you. She donated actual real money to the show, and it is greatly appreciated. Send a thanks out to her, people. She's helping me keep on going. She's helping me keep going. Thanks, kid. Anyway. So maybe I should talk about knitting or something. I don't know. Whatever. Maybe. Okay. Finished object. Okay. So I was making the baby blanket out of the Clementine KnitPicks CotLin. And I told you I was going to make some braided bowl. And I showed you these mysterious strips last time, which I totally said the wrong dimensions of. I said they were 20 inches by 68 inches. Stitches, people. Stitches. 20 stitches by 68 stitches. And then you sew them together and braid them into this magical little doohickey-mookie. I will say to this, never making another one. I had to decrease my strips. I put them all together and it was just totally way too amorphous. So I had to take it all apart. Not that it's that big of a deal, but you know, I'm a lazy thing. So each one of these, there's 6 strips all together, and they're each, you know, you have to graft or join or whatever the ends of each one. So there's like 8 little seams, 6 little seams. Numbers where? So there's 6 little seams in each one, or each ball. I'm just gonna blame it on sun poisoning. Ooh, let's see if they'll use that one for the iTunes. So anyway, so I put it all together and it was all like, meh, or maybe they'll use that one. And so I had to then take it all apart, curse at it a little bit, decide if I had just braided it in together wrong, which I had not, but that took a while to figure out because I thought, well, clearly I just did something wrong. Not that I didn't. So then I decided, okay, well the strips are too long and that's why it's all. So I took 10 rows out of each one. So mine are actually 20 by 58, and this is a DK weight, but I knitted on once, so. Right. Didn't think I'd have enough body. But it is CotLin. You know, it's not the magic of wool. I'm sure the magic of wool, it would be fine. But anyway, I think it's still acceptably cute, I guess. And a baby could, like, you know, they can like grab onto little bits and throw it at their arms. So that's my finished object number 1. Oh, I'm wearing finished object number 2. Shut your face. The Goodale by Cecily Glowik MacDonald. I'm totally pleased with it. You can't see it all because, again, I don't have a bra on and that would not be cute. Hey. But I totally love it. Shut up. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I totally love it. I'm into it. I dig it. Modifications, I did make the sleeves longer. I made the body a little bit longer because I have a super long torso. I'm 5'8", I'm all torso. Like when I sit down next to my husband who's 6'4", we look like we're the same height. Granted, I'm sitting on a lot of butt, but you know, still. So anyway, so it's a little wonky up here because I keep putting my hand in one pocket because I'm a nervous pants. But look at, I had to mention this too. So some of you be like, those are kind of homey buttons. Guess what, people? These are buttons my papa made me that went on one of my very first sweaters, which has since been ripped out because let me just discuss Gigantor. Yes, it was definitely made with the edict of it'll fit on me, therefore it fits. No. It was Lopey. No, not just Lopey. Lopey held together with, and I mean the big old Lopey, held together with 2 strands of what I'm thinking back was probably fingering. So it was a bulky plus 2 strands of fingering. Giant cardigan of death. But my papa totally made me these buttons, and so of course I had to repurpose them on something that was enjoyable and useful for life. So, and I don't know if you can see his initials. Oh, you can't see, but he totally carved his little initials in there. And they are the same thing as my initials. How cute is that? That was not intentional on my mother's part, but I kind of love my papa. So yay. So anyway, I totally love this sweater. I highly recommend it to anyone. And I will make another one. This yarn, the jury's still out, quite frankly. It is machine washable, so I did put it in the machine. It got real fuzzerly. Now, you can't see now because the fuzzilies were not like attached, so that's good. They were not pills that were actually attached to the fiber. They were just like fluff. So hopefully that's just an initial washing issue, because sometimes that just happens. So hopefully that was just an initial washing issue and it won't be a problem long term. I will keep you posted though on the status. Yes. Anywho, that's all my knitting finished objects. Excuse me. Last week I was showing that I was working on some like random alpaca that was gifted to me by my lovely family. Here it is. I'm done with it for a while. And that's why. Fibers. Anyway, it turned out really super duper well. It hangs well. You can't see it because my camera angle is too small. And it's like a bulky. I didn't actually whip it. I didn't wrap it. I didn't wrap springe it, but I would say it's a bulky. Mostly. Sometimes the fingering. No, not that bad, but close. Okay. So it's 9.3 ounces, which was like a little under 300 yards, again, of a bulky-ish. And let me just discuss. I love my little Luette wheel. I know it doesn't have a lot. Like I'm sure if I become a better spinner, I will need a different wheel because it doesn't have a lot of like whirl options and there's not a lot of adjustments you can make to it. It's 9.3 or I think it's 9.4 ounces. One bobbin, yo. Okay. So 2 bobbins, obviously, for the singles because it's a 2-ply. But it all fit on 1 bobbin. Now, granted, that last about 20 yards or so was a real... Well, maybe not 20 yards. That's a lot. Last 10 yards was I had to hold my breath a little bit. I had to look at it right. But, genius! Almost 10 ounces on a bobbin? Brilliant. So anyway, that's that. Okay, I'll show you spinning in progress. This is some Shetland that I bought at a wool festival, fiber festival, from the lovely people at Bell Creek Farm, and they are in Marion, Indiana. Mike and Kendra Klein, they were lovely humans. So this is 4 ounces, and then this is not 4 ounces yet, but will be 4 ounces, and I'm going to do them together like a moral. This was much easier to spin than this. This is kind of driving me a little bit crazy. It has a lot, I don't know what they're called, but it has a lot more floofy bits in it, like that are not, you can see those little clumpies. I'm sure there's some sort of brilliant technical term for those, which I do not know. It's not the vegetable matter, like that's really mildly annoying to me, not like worth mentioning, but those little clumpy flumpies are really annoying to me because this is what happens. Now, granted, it's homespun. Like, I don't have unreal expectations, but it's kind of hard to deal with. So that's my only complaint. And again, it's not top, it's just roving, and it's farm processed, I'm sure. So, whatever. It is what it is. That's it. Okay, that's it. Man, I don't have any. Evidently, I just decided not to bring you any knitting in progress. I have some. I did work a little bit on my Skype socks, both the fingering and sport weight version. Should not seen the fingering one, but I'll show you next week. But I did bring one. Are you ready? Well, I'll show you the yarn first. This is the fanciest snot of the gods. I don't even know what it is. What is it? It's the Sparrow by Quince & Company, so it's 100% organic linen. It's considered a fingering. Their recommended gauge though is 6 stitches to the inch, which is more like a sport gauge, fingering to sport, whatever. The color, I'm trying to decide if that's really what color it is. Really not. It is. It's like the color of the magical trees in the forest of La Florian. They're like lived in by the fairies and sprites of the world. And they're magical and gorgeous. That's what color it is. That color bark. It's called Juniper. And it is a green gray. I would say, if you had to say if it was green or gray, you would say it was gray, but it's a green gray. So it's really pretty. It's very fancy looking. I got this is yarn from my grandparents for my birthday. Thank you, grandparents. You're not watching, but I love you. I can't even talk. So I have actually 10 skeins of this because, yeah, I'm fat. Okay. But I got it from the Quince company, and I opened up the box, and it was all in like a brown paper bag with like the sticker. And I opened it, and they were just all in there, like the most beautiful. I can't explain to you how fancy this is to me. It looks so fancy. It looks very like chic or something, you know? Like when I see these kind of things in my LYS, these TC, like see how skinny this skein is? I see these skeins and I don't even look at them because that is not for me. Like that's far too fancy for me. And they are very small skeins. They're only 168 yards. But it was my birthday, okay? So that was the yarn. I will show you the pattern I was going to make with this yarn. This was gifted me by the lovely AKA Emily. Thank you, Emily, for my birthday. And I saw this pattern. I love this pattern. Very pretty. Guess who it's by? Hello, thank you, Cecily MacDonald. She's in no way sponsoring the show, I promise you. I just love her face. So it's just a basic pullover, but it's got this beautiful folded-y business right here. So I had the vision, like, oh, spoken to you by the fiber winged people of the sky. And they said, make it. And I said, okay. So I had in my head that that's what I had to make that. And that was going to be the most, I'm going to just turn down the brightness on the screen a little bit because I'm looking a little bit like a crazy face. Oh, so that was in I had the vision. Do you know what I mean? Where you're like, yes, the marriage is magical. Ah. So I had it in my head, Got the yarn, love the yarn, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I knit my swatch and I'm like, no, okay. I knit my swatch and I'm like, ooh, is that, see, to gauge, which I like this fabric. This is 6 stitches to the inch. I know you're all like, that is the smallest gauge swatch in the world. I've been knitting for a while. I can extrapolate, okay? Anyway, you can see how cheap I am. I totally cut the end way too short because I did not want to sacrifice any of the yarn, and it unraveled in the washer. I'm so cheap. Anywho, so this is the gauge for the winged knits. That's not the name of the sweater. The gavotte, maybe gavotte. I don't know. Anyway, the gauge for that is 6 stitches to the inch, something to the row. My row gauge was way off, but whatever. But anyway, I just was like, I think that might be a little. So you can kind of see my face behind there. I was like, I don't want to wear a tank top under it. Then I was reading more about the linen because I was like trying to figure out, because I've never knit with 100% linen. I don't think, unless it was in the way back times. So I was looking online to see like what should I expect from linen. Does it stretch? Does it do this? Does it do that? And again, this is all secondhand information. This is not primary source. Secondhand information indicates that it does bias, which I can primary source that one. It definitely biases. Now I don't know how much it's going to make a difference in the actual garment, but you can see that it's slanty. Again, not this brand, but just the nature of linen, the way it's spun. Is that it will bias. Now, it does easily straighten out, so I don't know how much of a problem it is in the overall project, but that's an indication. Or there's an indication that there may be a problem with that. The second indication is that it's so drapey, which I wanted, but it's so drapey that it can get to the place where it's almost clingy. Like, this is not the right word, but I think the bias combined with like drapey makes clingy. I don't know if you've ever had any just regular fabric clothing that's cut on the bias, and it does hug. Like, it's flattering sometimes. Sometimes it's a little bit weird feeling though. You know what I mean? It feels a little constrictive because only stretches on the bias. It doesn't stretch the other way, so it's just contrary to what you're used to, I think, is the only problem. So anyway, and there was also complaints about when you wear them with pants, if the pants have any roughness or texture to them, that the linen tends to grab it and then it gets clumpily, like it wants to ride up. And that was when I was like, oh, maybe not a pullover. So I really went back and forth, but combination of perhaps the gauge being too see-through-y, the bias kind of weirdness when it's closer to your, again, with the pullover is going to be a more fitted, structured garment. And so the bias knitting the biasing of it kind of freaked me out a little bit, because again, I've had clothes that were on a bias, and if they're even just a slight bit snug or a slight bit fitted, they sometimes feel weird. You know, they catch on your business. Okay. And then the issue of the pant thing, like it riding up on a texture, like it crawls up. I was like, oh, okay, maybe not. Maybe I should not venture into the pullovers with this yarn. So I'm going to save. I am definitely going to knit this pattern because I love it. Okay, but I will not. I will knit it with wool, superwash, because it's a pullover. Okay. Okay. So now I have my little swatch, and I'm all like, what am I going to do? 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 So I decided on another Cecily Glowik MacDonald pattern. This was in no way intentional. I did not go to her pattern page and just pick from there. No, this is literally on Ravelry, filtered under sport fingering weights, with the yardage that I had available to me, and I just kept picking her patterns. I don't think that happens sometimes. Anyway, this one is actually knit reverse stockinette. I will not knit it reverse stockinette. I will knit it just stockinette. So I'm not as wild about this stockinette side of the thing, which is even in her little thingy hoopy, she discusses that that's a possibility. And it's just a very basic raglan shaped shoulder. But the thing I liked about it is, for this particular yarn, well, you can kind of see it there. You can see that the front, like I was really gravitating towards the patterns that were very, like the very basic cardigan with the very wide border that are just straight with like a 3/4 sleeve. I kept liking it, but I didn't want to do those with the linen because, again, the beauty of the linen is it's all drapey and swingy. But I didn't have enough yarn to do something like a breezy, like a Hannah Fettig. And then again with the bias, I was like, oh, the wispy, like that's knit in 2 different directions. That might be wonky with a biasing yarn. So I was really looking at this. This spoke to me. Again, it's a similar silhouette, just a very simple drapey cardigan, but it has, the front has shaping. I know, I gotta figure out my directions here. The front has this shaping. So it's not just a straight, it's gonna go like this on both sides. So you get that nice drapiness of a sweater, maybe like the breezy, but not as exaggerated. Perfect. I think it's gonna be golden. So I have just a wee bit so far. It's a top down. So I have this much. And I will also say this pattern, the Abirgail cardigan, sorry I did not mention that, is I think a 22 stitch to 4 inches. So that's a 5.5 stitches to the inch. I went up to a 3 without doing a gauge swatch. Judge away, people. I did not want to waste the yarn. I could have reknit the other one, but I'm also lazy. Okay. Anyway, it's also top down, so it's very easy to check your gauge without crying because you've knit 6 inches of the giant bottom. You've just knit a little bit of the collar. So, and that's what I'm getting. I'm getting 5 stitches to the inch. And again, people are like, but it's not blocked. I did check the gauge of the swatch before I blocked it and after I blocked it. Pretty much identical. I was going to do that weighted thing, the weighted swatch thing, but I'm not really sure that's necessary because I pulled on it quite a bit. It doesn't have a lot of give in a vertical sense. It does stretch a bit this way when you go, wah, yeah, but it doesn't really want to stretch that much this way. So we'll see. And again, that pattern doesn't matter if it stretches down because it's all like, it's a hippie dancing in the field. Okay, so I saved some shenanigans until the end of the show. You know why? They are slightly adult in nature. So if you have wee ones, this is probably at least PG-13. Shoo them. Pause it. Save it for later. Or is it just us now? Is it just us? Okay, so my birthday was last weekend, but I have another friend who's a birthday the week after my friend. The week after me. I am my own friend, though. Anyway, she had a birthday. And for her shindig, she wanted to go to a burlesque show. Did I mention that the children should be gone? Also, the adults who are made uncomfortable by the word burlesque. Or perhaps boobies. Although I already said that a lot, so sorry. Anywho, she wanted to go to a burlesque show. And I was all like, okay, that sounds kind of fun. Boobies are fine. Yay, boobies. So anyway, I was like, oh, okay, that sounds good. And then the day of the thing, like I was like, okay, I should look up where this place is because I was going to be the navigator. So I looked up the place, and I originally thought for some reason that the show we were made for dinner. It was right next to the place where the show was, and the show started at like 7:30 or 8. I'm such an old woman. I went to the website of the place, the club that the show was happening, and it was like, doors open at 8, show starts at 10. And I was really like, and I had to text everybody, do you know the show doesn't start till 10? Do you know the show doesn't start till 10? They were like, yeah, we know, because we're grown-ups. Dang it! I remember, after I freaked out a little bit, I remember when I was a youth, that things did not start until that hour, but now I'm an old lady. That seemed very late. But anyway, so after I got over I was having that total like, where I was like, I told my husband, I know I'm going to have a really good time, but I had it in my head that it was going to be this way, and now it's a different way, and now I'm kind of nervous. I'm neurotic. Anywho. But I was like, I know, have a good time. It's not a problem. I'm just a little nervous now. So it was fine. We went and we had the Mexicali food. So good for our... Oh, by the way, I am also very not hip anymore. I used to be like, I was never hip. But if hip were the sun, I might get away with pretending I was in the asteroid belt. You know what I mean? Like I was receiving its light. No longer. If hip is the sun, I am like 3 solar systems over people. Not hip anymore. So we go to this bar-ish place. We're in like the hipper area of town, which by the way is somehow only 5 minutes from my house. How's that work? Anywho, we're at this like, it's not a bar, but they have a bar and then they serve tacos. Yay! So I had tacos and like got to people watch because all the people are very hip and very young and very fancy. So this should have been my indication that I was really not hip anymore. And it was. I was like, I'm old, but this taco is good. Okay. And it was. So then we went next door after we ate our dinner. We went next door and we got into the clubby place. And then we proceeded to wait 2 hours. It's a long time. But worth it. I brought my knitting and my friends were like, no, not my birthday friend, because she would never do that because she's far too nice. But my other friends were like, you are not going to break out the knitting in the bar to see the burlesque show. I was like, that's who I am. I'm very kooky and eccentric. They're like, not at our table. And to be quite honest, it was 107 degrees outside with a heat index of like 120, somebody said. They might have been lying, but I'm going to pretend they weren't because it kind of felt like that. And the place was air conditioned, but there was like 100 and some people in there, and it's 100 and some degrees outside. It was hot. So, oh my gosh. If you have an opportunity to see a burlesque review, do so. Go with your girlfriends if you're uncomfortable or whatever, because it's always fun with other ladies. Go. It was so good. The cover charge was only $10, and the show was 3 hours long. I kid you not. During like the last 5 or 6 dances, I was like, y'all need to wrap this up because I cannot hoot and holler anymore. I'm surprised I still have a voice today, even though it's 2 days later. Because I really was like, oh, I can't. I was like, I'm psychically sending you my happy, positive thoughts about how fun and festive and awesome you are, but I can't even clap anymore. It's 98 degrees in here, and I'm losing my voice. It was like that. So anyway, you should totally go to one. I am like their biggest carrying of banner person ever now. It was so much fun. Gotta go. Unless that makes you wildly uncomfortable, and maybe you shouldn't go. But even if it makes you only slightly uncomfortable, you should go. Because the girls we went to see, the women, they were younger than me, I think most of them. Not all of them, but most of them were younger than me. The people that we went to see, there was like this combination. They did burlesque. So they would have, I know I've said that 20 times, whatever. They would do like one choreographed act, and then they would do an improv act. So they do one choreographed act, and they did one act where they had an audience member pick a prop out of a box. So like one of the props was pie pans. One of the props was a giant stuffed snake. One was they were very crazy. Anyway, so the person in the audience would pick the thing, and then they would give the ladies a random song. Now, I'm sure they said it was random, but I'm sure they told them ahead of time, like, you will get one of these 10 songs and the songs were very popular songs. They were not new popular. They were like 80s, early 90s popular. So they were not like throwing them curveballs or anything. So fun. So even they were all very cute. Like they all had like an awesome sense of humor about them. They all had great stage presence. I was very impressed. Some of them were more awesome than others, but that's how life is. But they were all overall awesome. And I say yay to them. So anyway, I don't know. I feel like I need to talk more about how great it was, but to talk any more about it starts to get a little bit more graphic. And that's probably not appropriate. But it was awesome. It was so fun. My lessons learned from the evening. A, you should all go to a burlesque show. B, every lady needs one of those fringy skirts they wear. That's not really the word for them. There's, I'm sure, an actual term, which I've tried to find but couldn't. Anyway, it's just like a little string that goes around your hips and has like fringe hanging off of it. Sometimes the fringe is glittery. Sometimes the fringe is just like silky fringe. They're awesome. They're so cute. I have the giantest, widest, lumpiest butt in the world. I'm like, I need one of those. It was awesome. There was only one girl who was I would even call thick, but they all were awesome and they looked so cute. This is probably getting really weird for you. I'm sorry, but I just had to share how excited I was. But I can't really share exactly how excited I was because, again, it would be inappropriate. So this is awkward now. Sorry. Oops. Maybe I should have left that out. I don't care, whatever, I was over now. So anyway, if you're still here, thanks for sticking with me through that weird phase right there. Go see Burlesque. Yeah, that's all. I'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.